Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to be going over the LeetCode problem, valid parentheses. First, let's read the question. Given a string S containing just the characters open rounded bracket, closing rounded bracket, open curly brackets, closing curly brackets, open square brackets, and closing square brackets, determine if the input string is valid. And it says that an input string is valid if open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order, and every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So what the first and second point mean is that if we get an open rounded bracket, it must be closed by the closing rounded bracket. If we see a open curly bracket, then it must be closed by a closing curly bracket. And if we get an open square bracket, it must be closed by a closing square bracket. So how I'm going to solve this problem is I'm going to use a stack. And we're going to loop through every character of S. And for each character that we see, we're going to do one basic check. Is that character an open bracket or a closing bracket? If the character is an open bracket, then we simply append that to the stack. If the character is a closing bracket, we have to check for two more things. The first thing we have to check is if the stack is empty or not. If the stack is empty, then that means that this last condition isn't fulfilled. So we return false. If the stack is not empty, then we check what the last open bracket we saw was. And we check that the last open bracket is a match for this closing bracket. So basically, if we get like one of these closing brackets, we check if the last open bracket that we saw is a match. If it is, we simply remove that open bracket from the stack. If it's not a match, then we return false because these two conditions are not satisfied. Finally, after we loop through S, the string, we check if the stack is empty or not. If the stack is not empty, that means that there are still open brackets that have not been closed yet. And so these two conditions aren't fulfilled, so we return false. If the stack is empty, then we return true. So let me code this up. So I already have all these like the stack and the two and these set and hash maps ready. So I'm gonna start by looping through S. So if the char is in open brackets, oops. So if the character we see is in opening brackets, we simply just append it to the stack. Otherwise, we do a check. So we first check if the stack is empty or not. If this, like I mentioned before, if the stack is empty, then that means that this third condition isn't satisfied because the closed bracket doesn't have a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So if the stack is empty, or if the last open bracket we saw isn't a match for this closing bracket, then we return false. So stack minus 1 gives us the last open bracket we saw. And this converter, this bracket converter, this gets us the open bracket that corresponds to this closing bracket. So if this isn't equal, that means that the last open bracket that we saw, it doesn't match our closing bracket. So we return false. Otherwise, we just remove the last open bracket we saw from the stack by doing the stack.pop. So after we loop through all the characters in S, we now check if we now check if the stack is empty or not. If the stack is not empty, that means that there are still open brackets that have not been closed. So if that's the case, we return false. If the stack is empty, then we return true. So let me do a quick test run to make sure I didn't mess anything up. Looks good. And let me submit it now. So you can see that this is a valid solution. And the time complexity of this is O of n because we're simply just looping through S once. Thank you all for watching.